Women's World, where we'll meet achieving women making a difference in our community. I'm Carolyn Bruna. Our guest is Cathy Richards, an exercise physiologist, wellness coach, and best-selling author of Boom, 6 Steps to a Longer and Healthier Life. Have you ever pictured yourself at 85? What would you look like? What would you feel like? Cathy will give us some motivational and practical advice for lifelong wellness and healthy aging. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here, Carolyn.
Well, I'm excited to have you because we actually know each other from National Speakers Association. So it's
That is
fun to
true.
have you here.
It sure is really fun.
Tell us a bit about your background and what drew you to become an exercise physiologist and wellness coach. And as I say this, Cathy, I'm thinking to myself, I actually had to look up exercise physiologist. So maybe you should tell people what that means as well.
I sure can. Well, I'll tell you, it started even when I was growing up. I've always been interested in health and in kind of medical-ish things or just how the body worked. I started off in college as a biology major, but I didn't want to do anything in a lab. And I started really being more interested in the anatomy classes and things about how the body worked. And so I ended up changing my major to something that's even harder to pronounce and even more rare to understand the word, which is called kinesiology. So my bachelor's degree is kinesiology, which is the science of movement. And then I stayed on for grad school in the specialty of exercise physiology, which really is the study of how our cardiovascular system, our muscular system, our nervous system, our metabolic system all responds to exercise and to movement.
Oh, that's interesting. I know the word kinesthetic. That means what?
Mhm.
Touch, right? Oh,
Kinesthetic, yeah, it has to do with where you are in space and how, having the awareness of your body.
mhm.
And so kinesiology, the study of movement, can be the biomechanics. It can also be the physiology. It can be anything that has to do with moving the human body.
Oh, very interesting.
So it's in the physical education department or the health sciences department at most universities now. But I will tell you that people don't come out of a college program like that with a ready-made job waiting for them. For instance, as if you were like an accountant or if you majored in something else that really prepared itself for a specific job. So there are exercise physiologists working in a wide variety of roles. So I've decided to focus my work more on healthy aging, which has
Oh,
been really exciting.
well, I'm happy about that because sadly we're all getting older. So, does someone inspire you, an older adult or a relative?
I would say my mom. My mom is my biggest inspiration. She has always been such a motivating person and such a cheerleader and really a kind of can-do attitude from the beginning. She's always said, and I put this in my book, that she wanted to die with her tennis shoes on. And she's still kicking and doing great at the age of 83. And she watched her mother do the same, which is just leading a active life and not deciding that, oh, since I'm past this age or since I'm past this age, now I'm just going to do a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm inspired by your saying that. And actually, I've read that you were surrounded by 1,285-year-olds. So tell us about that. How did that happen?
Wow. Well, it started before I even in a work setting. It was just in a volunteer setting. I have a couple of neighbors who we have always taken our children together to do different community service projects. And so this neighbor, her husband worked at a retirement community. And so a few of us moms brought our kids there for Valentine's Day to deliver Valentines to the residents of this retirement community. And as I looked around, I noticed, there's really a wide variety in the levels of mobility and health of the people in that community. And before long, I actually ended up applying for a job at that same community. And so I ended up becoming the director of wellness at this retirement community. And so there were 12 to 1,400 people living on that campus with the average age of 85. So when we look at having a whole lot of people in one place who are the same average age, you really start being able to ask yourself questions. It's the same feeling you get when you go to a high school reunion. You know how you look around and you say, everybody in this room graduated high school the exact same year, but you can see some people are more successful, some are less successful, some aged
Yeah.
more healthfully, some aged less healthfully, some are happier, some are less happy. So when you think about chronologically speaking and aging and how we experience it subjectively, it's quite different. So I really, once I started working at the retirement community, I saw 85-year-olds who were traveling the world, who were doing Zumba, who were helping to care for others, and who were living exciting, vibrant lives. And I saw 85-year-olds who had significant cognitive and physical ailments, who could barely get out of bed, who were in the skilled nursing, perhaps, neighborhood of the community, and had a quality of life that none of us would wish for ourselves at the age of
Yeah.
85.
Yeah.
So I started asking myself, what makes a difference? And how do you know what kind of 85-year-old you're going to be?
Yeah. So, what kind of lifestyle habits have the biggest impact on us as we go along and hopefully get to 85 and beyond?
I'm so glad you asked, Carolyn, because that's actually why I wrote my book, 6 Steps to a Longer, Healthier Life, because the most exciting aspect of all of this is that it is largely within our control. Up to 80% of how we age is based on lifestyle. So that's not to say that, of course, that's the other 20% could be due to genetics or bad luck or something else, but 80% of how we age is within our control. So it would be crazy not to do those things. So there are a handful of things that have the biggest aspect. The biggest one is exercise.
Ah, of course, I
And
should have
of
guessed.
course,
Yes.
see, the minute I say it, people always say, oh, she's just talking about exercise again. Because it's one of those things that we like to say, yeah, I know I should, but yeah, I guess I could do more, but. And the good news is that exercise has more benefits in more categories of your life than any other single thing you can do. And it doesn't have to be a lot to get the benefits. A lot of times we really think that we've got to like get on this whole big rigmarole, more than we want to do, and get all sweaty. But really, there are significant benefits from even small amounts of exercise. Just any amount of exercise, standing up more, taking a short walk. Those are the type of things that are so easy to do. But guess what? They're just as easy not to do. And we just get in these habits
Exactly.
of it just not being part of our life. So that's the single biggest one. Single
Mhm.
biggest one
Yeah.
is exercise and moving your body.
Moving our bodies. Yes, that's exactly right. And I used to do some presentations on memory, and evidently, exercise helps a lot with our memories as well. So, uh,
Exercise is the biggest thing we can do for our brain fitness.
mhm,
Again, it's incredible. Not only is exercise the biggest factor in how we age, it's the biggest factor in how our brain is aging.
right.
And we read all these things, oh, eat a lot of blueberries, oh, do crossword puzzles, oh, do brain games. And yes, those things are helpful, but
Mm.
exercise helps more. Physical exercise is better than brain exercises for our brain. So it's we really keep when the things start stacking up, that exercise helps our digestive system, exercise helps us sleep better, exercise helps our memory, it helps our joints, it helps everything that you
Wow.
can even think of, exercise will help.
Hmm. And I hear that you've got some shocking statistics about muscle loss as we age. So,
Yeah, I
mm,
do. So the big thing there is that when we think about earmarking, well, after this age or after this age, well, between the ages of 20 and 80. So if you take that 60-year snapshot between 20 and 80, the average person loses 50% of their leg strength.
mm,
So can you imagine what it would feel like if most people have, some of us gain a little bit of weight as we age, but let's just say you have the same body size at 80 as you had at 20, but half the amount of muscle. So you have to carry around the same size body all day long, doing all the activities of daily life with only half the muscle mass. What's that going to feel like? I'm
Oh,
asking you, Carolyn, what would it feel like if you had half that muscle
yeah. Well,
walking
not
around?
good, obviously. Yeah.
No, you'd be stopping to need to break, say, take a break on a bench as you walked by. You'd be, if you left your umbrella in the car, you're not gonna be like, oh, let me run out there and grab it. You're not gonna want to move your body more. So
Wow.
the muscles are shrinking, not because of the physiological aging process, but with the gradual inactivity that typically comes with aging. So that's again drawing it back to exercise. If we're using our muscles, then we won't lose that muscle mass. So we're not losing muscle because we've had another birthday. We're losing muscle because the average American gets less and less and less active with every passing year between 20 and 80.
Oh, I see. Very interesting. You also mentioned before when we were talking that there's a way that we can test that out. How would we do that? I guess it's test out our muscle capacity,
Yeah.
muscle
Well,
loss.
yes, the way that you test that is with what's called the sit to stand test. And so whatever chair you're sitting in, if you can cross your arms over your chest and stand up
Mhm.
without using your hands to push off the chair,
Mhm.
then your leg strength is probably still doing okay. But what happens is that as we age, what you will find older adults, if you're observant, you find older adults reaching down, using their hand to push off. And that means their legs aren't strong enough to get all the way up without the help.
Wow.
So when we do this test in a fitness setting, we have somebody cross their arms over the chest and stand up and sit down as many times as they can in 30 seconds. And then
Oh, I
we
see.
score that.
Uh-huh.
But what the first example was that so many older adults can't even do one.
Oh,
And if they
gosh.
can't even do one, then we really know that your muscle mass has gotten quite low.
So then what would you recommend that people do to gain back some of this muscle mass? And I know you say exercise, but there's something specific?
There is strength training exercise. So
Ah,
when we look at exercise, a lot of times most people are familiar with cardiovascular exercise, like walking or anything that just is moving, moving, moving. When we look at strength training exercise, especially as we age, that, and especially for women, because women have less muscle mass to begin with, pound for pound, than men do. That strength training, whether it's using your body weight or using dumbbells or exercise tubing or exercise machines at a gym, that those exercises are going to get your leg muscles strong. So there are clients that I've had who want to start off with just the one exercise, just one leg strength exercise. In fact, at home, somebody
mhm.
can start with doing the old sit to stands. Do 10 of them every morning right before or after breakfast, or just pick a time of day where you're going to link it perhaps to something else you're already going to do,
Hmm.
and just start off with that if that's challenging for you.
Or maybe even as you get up each time during the day, try to do one crossing
Yes.
your arms.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I read your saying, never too early, never too late. What did you mean by that?
Well, that is the tagline to my entire business. So it's really kind of the philosophy that I have for all of the work that I do with private clients, with business and organizations.
Oh,
So the never too early means that whatever age we are, we should start now. And that's going to help us age as healthfully as possible. It's never too early to get started. A lot of us are thinking, well, I'm getting around okay. I don't need to exercise, or I don't need to do strength training. I can still get out of a chair. Someone might be saying, they might be watching this saying, I got it fine. I don't need that strength training. And
mhm.
I say, start now. You want to build up that strength and really stockpile, have all the strength you can going into your elder years. The never too late portion means that it is never too late to build strength, because physiologically, the body responds to strength training or to any type of exercise, even at advanced ages. I've had clients in their 90s. I've had clients well into their 90s, over 100, who you get them on strength training and their muscles will respond and they will get stronger. I've
Oh.
also had people in their 50s tell me they're too old. So I've had people at every age saying they're too
They're
old or
too
they're too young.
There
So
are days, Kathy, there are days. But really, this is some great information. I really enjoy it. I think we're going to take a break now. We'll come back. We'll break for a short public service announcement, and we'll return with Cathy telling us about her book, Boom, 6 Steps to a Longer and Healthier Life.
Right now, 9 out of 10 hospitalizations and deaths from COVID are among unvaccinated people. COVID vaccines are free, and there's now a fully FDA-approved option. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Cathy Richards, an exercise and wellness coach who focuses on maximizing physical health, brain function, and energy levels for all of us, and especially for older adults. And she's got some great tips that we can put to good use. Hi, Cathy. Let's focus on your book first. Tell us about your book, Boom, 6 Steps to a Longer and Healthier Life.
All right, thanks. Well,
Mhm.
I wrote Boom in 2019, and I wrote it after I had spent a number of years working in corporate wellness and then senior wellness. And I really wanted to bring the messages I learned working with seniors back to a slightly younger population who might want to take some tips from people who've already started going through their older years and have messages to bring back to their younger selves about how they can age most healthfully and still have that theme of it's never too early or too late. In fact, so the main thing about my book, Boom, is that it has 2 tracks in Boom. There's a never too early track and there's a never too late track. So the one of the main benefits of Boom is that it shows specific exercises that you can do, whether you want to stay on the more gentle side, someone who might be a little bit on the older side or might have a history of health issues or some type of mobility issues. And I also have a whole track of exercise for someone who might be either on the younger side or for whatever other reason might be ready for a more vigorous approach to starting back to exercise.
Oh, that's interesting. Somehow I hadn't seen your book, and so I didn't realize the 2 tracks. That sounds great. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah. So
I
I start,
I'm sorry. I
no,
was
go
gonna,
ahead.
I was going to say I was going to ask you for some of the steps and how to achieve them, but maybe I should ask you for a step from each track and some takeaways that people can do, uh,
Yeah.
depending on which track they'd like to follow.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 2 tracks, there's not separate steps for each track. There are
Ah,
6 steps. And
I
the
see.
first step, regardless of your track, has to do with your mindset. And we all know that being motivated or getting motivated or staying motivated is sometimes the biggest problem that we have.
Mhm.
It might sound good in theory to start exercising or start eating better or to start sleeping more or whatever it is we want to do, but somehow we know what we need to do, but we can't seem to stick with it. And more people and clients that I've spoken to have this history of on and off and on and off. They can't quite stay on track. So the motivational aspect is so important to me. And that's why I named my business Inspiring Vitality, because if I can't inspire people, if I can't help build inspiration
Mhm.
and help someone really take the messages to heart that I can impact how I age. And it's not as hard as I thought. And I really can reap the benefits. So that motivation and getting your head kind of screwed on right for the long haul is step one.
I see. And well, give me then for step one a takeaway that people can do. And
Okay.
actually, how would I motivate myself? And how do you tell other people to
Yeah.
motivate themselves? That's the
Well,
hard part.
yes, chapter one of step one is chock full of tip after tip after tip after tip. I will give you what I think is one of the best tips for staying motivated. And that actually is to not start with expecting too much too soon.
Mhm.
So many of us think in this all or none mindset. It is really, really rampant. Most of us categorize ourselves. I'm either an exerciser or a non-exerciser. Either I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week for an hour, or I'm not doing anything at all. So if we can really, for once and for all, rid ourselves of this all or nothing mindset, that is going to leaps and bounds going to get you somewhere fast as far as getting results and having them for a lifetime, because it doesn't matter. I've had clients in the past, potential clients, people who want me to create the best perfect exercise routine for them that's going to get them exactly what they want. But guess what? If you can only do it get yourself to do it 3.5 times or for 3.5 weeks, you've wasted your money. You
Hmm.
haven't gotten anywhere. So figuring out where you see yourself a year from now, and what can I do now that I can still see myself doing a year from now? That's where we start. And then it can grow and grow over time rather than starting off with something that's great, big, and complex, and then you just can't stick with it.
Yeah, I like that. And actually, that reminds me of things that I've read about. Do an exercise that you like so that you
Mhm,
can sustain it, keep with it.
mhm.
Otherwise, like you say, it's not going to work, you know?
No, we get the benefits from long-term adoption of these habits, not for just one workout or 1 week or even 1 month. We want to really build these habits for a much longer period of time, open-endedly, just because that's the way I live my life now.
Oh, so you're following your own advice, are you?
I certainly am. I do, and I have phases where I'm doing more or doing less for whatever reason. But the goal is
Mm,
that you're never doing nothing. And in fact, that's what kind of leads to the next couple of steps. So not to give them all away, but so step one is your mindset, and then
mhm.
step two is all about what we talked about in the first segment, which was exercise as the magic pill. How we can't afford not to exercise and all the benefits of it. And then when it leads into the next couple steps, that's where I walk the reader right through how do you pick the right exercises for you? Because I have a 4 level kind of speedometer model where you have to ask yourself, am I a level 1 person, level 2, level 3, level 4? Do I want to do just the bare minimum? Do I want to do a little more? Do I want to do even more than that? So then you select your
Mm.
track. Am I the never too early track? Or am I on the never too late track? And do I want to do the minimum, the medium, or the max? So that's how we can narrow down what's right for you as an individual.
I see. Well, can you flip tracks? Like sometimes I'm a
Absolutely.
track one, another time I'm a track four.
Oh, yeah, and the levels are meant to be fluid for based on the season of life you're in, based on your level of motivation, based on any number of things. And also, that's just the levels. You mentioned switching tracks,
Mm.
and that's absolutely. Let's say someone had a health challenge or a surgery or something where they need something a little more gentle, maybe they need seated exercise, they can follow the never too late track, and
Mhm.
then perhaps they get themselves back up to speed, they're stronger, they're ready for something more rigorous, then they might decide, hey, I want to check out some of the exercises in the never too early track that are more standing exercises and are a little more rigorous.
I see. And so I was going to ask you about setting ourselves up for our 85-year-old selves, actually, and the habits that set us up. And you're telling us some. So just kind of reiterate or explain again.
Yeah, well, the exercise is number one, both something cardiovascular, something strength training, and a few stretches. Those are the things you can have a well rounded routine that's even tiny. It can be as short as 10 minutes a day and not even every day or 20 minutes. So you have these different choices in the amount of time. And that's one of the things. The other one is thinking about the eating habits, thinking about our sleeping habits. And I know that once again, these are not necessarily things that people haven't heard before,
Yeah.
but how can we take them to heart? How can we figure out what are, for instance, what I call the superfoods? What are the handful of foods that if I stock my diet with these type of foods, it's going to reduce the amount of times I eat the less virtuous foods while also really giving me the energy, the
Mm,
brain power, the
mm,
stamina that I need to age as healthily as I want.
mm. Oh, interesting. Yes, of course, foods and sleep. We read that
And
all the time.
hydration.
Oh, hydration. Thank you. Oh, I forget to do that. Yes.
Yeah. So when we have our water bottles close at hand, if we have these certain, again, little habits, one of my little habits is I drain a full water bottle first thing in the morning as soon as I wake up. I just drink the whole thing, 24 ounces down the hatch. And that sets me up to pre-hydrate my day. Then I fill it up a second time to carry around with me all day. So I've got this much left of my second fill up, and then which should be gone by about now of the day. And then I fill it up for a third time for the evening. And I don't always finish the evening one, but that's okay. That gets you close to 64 ounces of water in a day.
Wow, Kathy, I don't think I could ever keep up with you.
Sure, you
I
could.
will
But you have
try.
to find what's right for you. we'd find what was right for you. And that is the name of the game, is finding what's right for each individual.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Well, of course, you're absolutely right. And the biggest thing is sustaining everything and being motivated. Is there something you tell people to say to keep themselves motivated constantly?
Well, I have so many. In fact, with my clients and people who are in I have a women's fitness club, and I send out little motivational messages all the time, because
Ah,
we need sometimes someone who's along the path with us. But one of my phrases is, habit is more important than content. That is one of them,
hmm. Okay.
because it
Habit is
it
more important than content. Oh,
yeah.
meaning
So
do
it
something
doesn't matter.
constantly more important than what you do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. So a lot of times people are so worried about, well, I read that it needs to be like this, or I read that it should be like that, and I read that your morning exercise is better than evening, or I read that the elliptical is better than the treadmill, or things like that. And it's just a matter of picking something that, like you said, you enjoy and that you can stick with consistently. And the consistency is where the results are going to come, rather than really worrying about exactly what they're doing. Or I read that you have to change up the exercises every so often. And in a perfect world, yes, it'd be great to mix up the exercises. But on the other hand, a lot of us eat the same thing for breakfast every day, and that's fine. So if you got into an exercise routine and you just did the same exercise routine 3 times a week forever, you're going to be healthier than if you weren't exercising at all.
at all. But you like the idea of changing things up, I think. I usually do the same one all the time. Hmm.
I sometimes I go through phases where I'm doing the same thing, and then other phases where I mix it up, and each of
Ah,
us has a different threshold for variety.
okay, great. Well, tell us one or two tips that you want people to take away from the show and what they could start doing right now.
One of the things you can start doing right now is thinking of that one thing. Write it down. Like, I give a lot of tips in this amount of time: the drinking more water, the standing up and sitting down, taking a walk after dinner, deciding to do, you could decide to journal. You could decide, I'm going to journal every night. I'm just going to kind of empty my mind and set my intention for the next day. Picking one thing,
Mhm.
and checking off the calendar every day that you do it for maybe a week or two, to try to see if that's something you could really stick with. I have a whiteboard on my wall here in my office with a
Mhm.
headline that says, focus on what matters most.
Ah, okay.
And
Yeah.
I make little check marks about different things that I want to focus on. And so we tend to let these self-care things be out there in the ethers, and we
Mm,
tend to be
true.
focused on the things that other people ask of us, that other people need from us. So I really invite your viewers to think about what I need for myself, and how can I hold myself accountable for it? How can I really put that on the calendar, put it on the map, put it on the to-do list, and actually do it?
Oh, yeah.
Actually do it.
I like that a lot, Kathy. These are some great tips. How can people get into contact with you?
They can come to visit me on my website, cathyrichards.net. They can find a lot there, both for individuals and also for organizations. I have a free newsletter they can sign up for. My email and phone is on there. I'd love to answer questions of any of your viewers. I actually have a free little guide that they can sign up for that I call Back on Track,
Oh,
that they can click on. I know you're going to have the link available for that, because so many of my clients and my potential clients are struggling to get back on track. They might have exercised in the past or done other healthy habits in the past, and they have a hard time getting restarted or getting started.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
have a little program that in 3 days, with little tiny video snippets, I can reel you back in to getting back
Mhm.
on track.
Oh, that sounds perfect, Kathy. Thank you so much for your invaluable help on aging well and enjoying our lives as we age too. We have to remember that, right?
That's right.
I hope you've enjoyed meeting our speaker, Cathy Richards, as much as I have, and thinking about living your best life as you age. For questions or info about being a guest on our show, we're a Woman's World TV at AOL.com. I'm Carolyn Bruna. See you next time.